Hi, everybody. My name is Tommy Cuevas, your personal cloud engineer here at Stratos. And today I'm going to be talking about something that is near and dear to my heart, and I'm super excited about it. It's AI, artificial intelligence, and how it's going to be integrated into, well, Microsoft. Microsoft has made a huge investment in their product that's called Copilot. And we're going to be going over that. But more specifically, we're going to be going over its integration into SharePoint and Microsoft Teams. So as we're going to go through this webinar and we start going through the kind of features and what we're seeing in the industry when it comes to generative AI, we're going to expand a little bit about what is going to help partners have conversations around Copilot, around Teams, and SharePoint. So for anybody that's not familiar with generative AI, it is able to create content using algorithms and artificial intelligence by looking at data that people have submitted, and in our case, in Copilot, internal data in your organization to build content, give you data and analytics beyond what people have been usually able to access. So it's really, really cool stuff that Microsoft is coming out with. But when we talk about generative AI, most people think along the lines of ChatGPT or Wonder. And just a little hint, all the images that you're going to see in this presentation are actually AI generated images. And just so you're aware, at the very, very bottom of every slide, it's going to show you the prompt that I put in to create the images for this PowerPoint presentation. So in this case, generative AI has been able to pass the bar exam in some situations for legal courses. It's been able to create art and music. It's been able to mimic people's voices. And it's even been able to switch people out and in of situations in video using technology called deepfake. So it's really incredible stuff. It's really what I can see is one of the biggest changes within technology within the last 20 to 30 years. And of course, Microsoft is invested in it. They want to see what people can do with the generative AI platform Copilot. So when it comes to SharePoint, which is one of my favorite areas to work in because I love design, I like UI, I like working with customers and figuring out how to get the most out of their SharePoint experience. Copilot in SharePoint is huge. Now, with Copilot, unlike systems like ChatGPT, Copilot can use your internal data. And I'm talking about all your internal data, anything that you have hosted in OneDrive or SharePoint or in your Dynamics platforms. They're able to pull all that information that is housed in your tenant and pull it into Copilot. And in this case, it's going to make it easier to build SharePoint sites. And some of the examples that they give is simpler authoring. So creating documents within SharePoint. And this is Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, Excel spreadsheets, pretty much any kind of documentation that you can think of. You can use Copilot within SharePoint to build out those documentation, those PowerPoint presentations, and those Excel spreadsheets that you need by simply just asking the system to build it out for you. Compelling content. I love this example that I've seen in Copilot, specifically in SharePoint. And what it was able to do was somebody wanted to build out a product-based SharePoint site. And they already had the paperwork, the design, the frequently asked questions, the specs of their product, along with images in a Word document. They were able to build, asking Copilot to build a SharePoint site by just using that document as a reference point. And of course, within SharePoint, one of the things that I like about it is once you start working with the UI experience within SharePoint, it's very, very easy to build robust and eye drawing SharePoint sites within SharePoint. Well, with AI and Copilot, it's going to enhance that even more because you won't have to look for videos and photos and things along those lines. Like for instance, the photo that I have right now on my PowerPoint presentation, I used Wonder to build this out. And like I said, all I did was put an AI at my office and was able to build out this very generic looking desktop. But with just that little prompt, I was able to build my own content. The nice thing is I don't have to worry about copyright or anything along those lines. That content is mine. And since we're able to pull in information from all over the Microsoft space, I can reference uh, products that I have in my own organization. I can pull in information about cars into my images, into my PowerPoints, and into my SharePoint sites. It has deep integration. Like I said, it grabs all this data from your internal network. So if you've got some documentation in SharePoint and you want to integrate it into a statement of work for a customer, or if a customer is looking for ways to streamline ordering and sales processes, they're able to use Copilot with all the data that they have in their SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams, and they're able to pull it in to build content directly into their SharePoint site. The other thing is it's super flexible. It's going to be able to get you where you need to be. And that's one of the key things about generative AI, especially where we're using it right now. I use generative AI at least 5 times a day now in my job for everything between whenever I get stuck on a code or in a Power Automate. If I'm trying to do something new and weird in SharePoint, I generally go ahead and ask it in generative AI, and it gives me great steps on how to do that. I'll give you a prime example. Um, I am currently working with a client to build out an onboarding process that will automate their entire new employee onboarding process. I'm building that out within SharePoint. So right now I have a list that has a form that's filled out by the HR department, but I want it to go ahead and create new users within my Active Directory. This way I don't have to get my IT people involved. I don't have to worry about permissions or security groups or anything along those lines. I'm able to fill out this form as an HR director for a new hire. It goes ahead, goes through an automation process that I use Copilot within SharePoint to build out. And what it's going to do, it's going to go ahead and create the new Active Directory user. It's going to go ahead and fill out their information based off the form that I filled out in SharePoint. It's going to go ahead and create passwords for that person. It's going to automatically add them to the security groups that they need to be part of. And it's going to automatically apply any software licenses or requirements that I've put into my flow. And this is all through the combination of SharePoint, Power Automate, and Copilot. Prime example of this, I was building out this flow and all of a sudden I hit a roadblock that was driving me nuts. I looked all over the internet for it. And when I thought of, well, why don't I go ahead and just ask Copilot to help me out? In plain text, I was able to say, go ahead, create a loop for this one flow in SharePoint and reference these forms, this data within my SharePoint list. Within a couple of seconds, it got me 99% there. I had to do some tweaking, but it went ahead and saved me so much time in development. Now they're going to be adding that directly within SharePoint. So you're going to be able to build SharePoint sites and lists and document libraries by pretty much just asking Microsoft Copilot to do that for you. And then automation processes. I love automation. Automation is great. Uh, and one of the like learning curves when it comes to automation is figuring out what triggers are. What information do I have to pull in from different resources to get my automation to work? If I can automate all my emails to have the perfect reply, I definitely would. Well, with Copilot, SharePoint, and Power Automate, I'm able to really build incredible automation within SharePoint where it saves me so much time. We can go ahead and create, with Copilot and SharePoint, product lists that automatically update depending on what information I get from my warehouse. We can go ahead and see the status of ordering through multiple different platforms directly within SharePoint using Power Automate. And I mean, it's really, really limitless what you can do with Copilot, SharePoint. It's really one of the biggest changes that I've seen. And I know that a lot of people have sometimes a love-hate relationship with SharePoint, but the fact that you're able to, with clear, just human speech, Ask the simple questions or even the difficult questions, and Copilot within SharePoint can give you that information. Now, when it comes to Teams, I really like what Copilot is doing with Teams because it's actually going to start handling a lot of the things that drive me nuts when it comes to meetings and conferences and things along those lines. So, one of the key features that are going to be coming within Copilot and Teams is their meeting assistant. So, uh, I tend to get really involved in my meetings. I'm very passionate about the products that I talk about in our meetings. So, and I tend to be really good about taking notes. I try really, really hard. I'm still, I mean, this is a tablet, but it's pen and paper to me. Um, but when I get involved in these conversations, sometimes I get a little lost and I won't remember what I've referenced before. Or if I'm trying to find out information and I want to pull information from some other data source into my meetings, I can use Copilot in our regular text to ask information about everything from how is my meeting going? What are the key points that people have brought up in my meeting? Because what Copilot within Teams is able to do, it's able to look at the transcriptions of your meeting. It's able to look at who's talking, who's saying what are the questions that are being asked, what are some of the key points that people want to focus on. Copilot within Teams is smart enough to understand, all right, here are the key points, here are our takeaways, here are action items for our next meeting. And it's able to go ahead and put this out as a bulleted list directly within your meeting space. This also works not only in meetings, but also calls. And I'm talking about like PTSN calls, traditional phone calls. So even on those one-on-one chats, you're able to pull in that information. So if it's a customer service call, sometimes, listen, I used to work in customer service back in the day. Um, when somebody's very, very heated, sometimes it's hard to kind of keep track of what's going on. What are their concerns? What are their pain points? What do they need me to do to fix their problem? Well, Copilot can help with that because you're able to ask directly in clear text, what are the key points that they're upset about? What are you can literally ask it, what are your feelings about this call? And it will tell you the person seems stressed, the person is agitated. What can I do to help them out? And for people that maybe do customer service, things along those lines, you can ask Copilot frequently asked questions, and it's able to go through all the documentation within your system and hopefully get you the right answer for that customer. So even if you have legacy, products out there, as long as you have data on those products, you can reference those directly within your chat and just ask Copilot, like, hey, what's the problem with a flux capacitor not getting to 88 gigawatts? If you have frequently asked questions and you have a solution for that, Copilot's able to look into your documentation and find that answer for you. I know this has happened to a lot of people, internally, externally. Sometimes there's a meeting and you're just double booked and you can't make it. You can't move anything around. You want to be part of this meeting, but you can't. The cool thing is that you can go ahead and follow meetings. So what you can do is instead of joining a meeting and you can't make it, you can RSVP with Copilot and just say, follow this meeting. What that's going to do is Copilot's already in the meeting for you, but what it's going to do is it's going to recap the entire meeting for you in an email. And then you can ask questions of Copilot beyond that. But it's going to be able to say, here are the key points, here are the people that were here are our action items. This is when the next meeting is going to be scheduled. It's able to do that, send you a recap of those meetings in an email. Like I said, you can go ahead and ask Copilot more in-depth questions about that meeting, but it's as if you were there or you had somebody else taking the notes for you. I think that's a huge thing. I love the fact that I constantly get double booked for meetings between client calls, partner calls, all that stuff. And it's very, very hard for me because I don't like turning anybody down. So I love the fact that you're going to be able, even if you can't join that meeting, to have a nice recap at the end where you still have the information that you needed out of that meeting. Meeting enhancements. So you're going to be able to pull information from multiple different sources directly into your meetings and your conferences within Teams. A lot of times, especially as a consultant, I know a client will ask me a question. I know I have the answer somewhere. I know it's somewhere in one of my notes. I know I have it somewhere in a document. I know it is somewhere. Now, I can go ahead in Copilot and ask that question that the client asked. It's going to, once again, chug through all my data that I have internally in my SharePoint, in my OneDrive, all those places. And it's going to be able to search all those documents and find those answers for me directly and pull them directly into the meeting. I'm going to be able to pull in that paragraph, that standard operating procedure, that Visio document, that workflow, and tie it directly into my meeting. This way, I don't have to really say, I'll get back to you tomorrow. I'll get back to you in a couple of hours. I can go ahead and type in the question directly within Copilot, and Copilot is going to be able to give me, hopefully, that answer, as long as you have that data in there. And then Copilot notes. Once again, Copilot within Teams is going to be able to take the notes for you. And then they're going to be able to be integrated directly into other Microsoft products, like, say, for instance, Microsoft Dynamics. I go ahead and schedule a meeting with a client that I have in my Microsoft Dynamics platform. I've referenced this meeting already in there. Copilot and Dynamics know this meeting is set up for this client specifically, maybe about this project or product, things along those lines. And what it's going to be able to do is, once again, it's smart enough to understand, here are the key points that I got out of our meeting. Here are all the information that we need. Here are their concerns, their things that they want for their product, billing concerns, things along those lines. And it's going to be able to update your CRM platform with clear text as if you were writing the notes and inputting them for you. Uh, like I said, I'm a big paper and pen guy. When it comes to taking notes, I still have to go ahead and transcribe those notes after my meeting into either an email, or I have to go ahead and put it directly within our Microsoft Dynamics. Well, now Copilot within Teams is going to be able to do that for me. I think, listen, that's going to save me so much time. Now, when it comes to the text, of course, it's trying its best. And Microsoft has been testing it out on different languages, different accents, different sound quality of microphones. I've seen some tests even with people that are in large conference rooms, and the system's actually able to pick up the different people on a single phone line in a conference room. Of course, it doesn't know those people's names unless they log in with their name, but it puts it as person one, person two, person three when it's on a single line. And I just think it's one of the coolest things. Now, why? Why Copilot? Why are we having these conversations with our clients? Our clients are coming to us and asking about it. They constantly come to us and ask, AI, what's Microsoft doing around it? I heard about this thing. I'm tired of writing emails. I'm tired of writing statements of work. I'm tired of doing this. Is there a way to integrate AI directly into Microsoft? And our answer is, well, it's Copilot. Customers are very hungry for this. They want AI. And the nice thing is that AI is becoming cheaper and cheaper and readily accessible to smaller and smaller businesses. I find that, a lot of customers that I talk to around AI, especially in the SMB market, tend to think that it is out of their grasp, or it's something that they don't need or something they don't necessarily want. We're a small mom and pop, we have 100 employees, all that stuff. As soon as I kind of go in there and show them, well, I can go ahead and automate. What's a process that drives you nuts? Let's take a look at your SharePoint. Okay, you have this list. All right, why is this list here? Why are you using this list? What do you want out of this list? And they're like, well, it's just a place that we put in trouble tickets, or we just go ahead and track shipments in our SharePoint, or something along those lines. Well, what about if you could do more? What about if when somebody submits something, it updates a business intelligence? So Power BI is updated so you can look at your customer service records. What about if it automatically sends an email because a shipment's going to be delayed or something's on back order from this list? What about if you want to make sure that Bob in shipping and Chris in accounting are getting the same information at the same time and they're following through the steps to get that order processed? This can all be done through Copilot, SharePoint, and Teams. And of course, it can integrate into multiple different systems within your organization or your customers' uh, uh, organization. Um, so, and the other thing is, when people find out what they can do with their data in their organization, whether it's small, medium, or large enterprise companies, they find that they find out data that they didn't even know they needed. Like, all right, why is Bob, our sales guy, not doing as well this year as he did last year? Stuff like that. And you can find out, well, he's has a rough time on in January and it's been consistent. So how can we help Bob sell more in January? How can we go ahead and support him? We've had people find out like, oh wow, I can save money by changing my shipping from ground to air, even though it's more expensive on the front end. I save more on the back end using the data within their system, within SharePoint, within Teams, and then integrating Copilot, say for instance, within Power BI. So these are kind of the multiple reasons why a lot of clients are asking us the AI question. Microsoft, in my opinion, right now, Copilot is at a state where I would say it's crawling, and it's still amazing what it can do. So once it starts walking and running, I think it's going to probably be one of the biggest shifts that we've seen in the Microsoft space, let alone the technology space that we have. So. And I did this way, way quicker than I really thought I was going to. Anybody have any questions out there? If you like to submit any, you can ask me anything about AI, Teams, SharePoint, anything along those lines. If not, I got camera equipment behind me. I like skateboarding. Go ahead and ask away. I live in Ocala, the horse capital of the world, and I do actually own a horse. They give it to you in the mail. So, Gordon, you got anything for me? I think I'm going to take the sun silences. I did a wonderful job. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and answer one of my own questions. Actually, somebody asked this previous to me in another conversation around Copilot. Of course, one of the main concerns that a lot of customers have is their data, right? So one of the key factors around Copilot and your data. So the difference between, say, for instance, a platform like ChatGPT and Copilot is ChatGPT is generally available for a whole organization. I mean, for everybody. I have a ChatGPT account myself. Now, it helps out. It's wonderful. I love it. But I can't put anything that would be considered sensitive data within my ChatGPT. I can't go ahead and put URLs or IP address or specific code that I'm running within ChatGPT because that code or whatever I put into ChatGPT is now available for general use. That's how that generative AI model goes ahead and learns it by the questions that people ask. The great thing about Copilot is your data is secure. If it references your data, it's not going out to the internet. It's not sharing it with the Copilot AI outside of your organization. And the great thing about that is that you don't have to worry about people using your information or gaining information to, say, for instance, your accounting or employee information or customer information. Copilot can reference your data, and then of course it can also go out to the internet and reference data outside of there, but they don't go ahead and break that barrier between your data and public data. And I think I got a question here. All right. Mm, okay. So great, great. Yep. Just some notes here, but uh, thank you guys for watching. I love talking about this stuff. Anything around Microsoft, anything around generative AI, Copilot, Teams, SharePoint, and anything around data strategies. I can talk anybody's ear off about it for hours on end. By all means, feel free to reach out to us at Stratos. Once again, my name is Tommy Cuevas, your personal cloud engineer here at Stratos, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.